In Acts chapter 17, we are introduced to a group of people known as the Athenians. These were residents of the Greek city of Athens, and these individuals were great servants of God, or so they thought. They built beautiful temples, dedicated finely wrought statues, and gave their gods lavish gifts, but they failed to understand what the Creator wanted from His creation. When Paul described to them the true God, he said, God, who made the world and everything in it, since He is Lord of heaven and earth, does not dwell in temples made with hands, nor is He worshipped with men's hands as though He needed anything, since He gives to all life, breath, and all things. Acts 17, verses 24 and 25. Now, how absurd is it to think that the Creator could be appeased with any material thing? Instead, God has a desire for certain responses on the part of His creation. Paul also said God made from one blood every nation of men, so that they should seek the Lord in the hope that they might grope for Him and find Him, though He is not far from each one of us, verses 26 and 27. Now, God's inherent sufficiency does not negate His reason for making man and requiring certain attitudes and conduct. For His purpose and for our good, He wants us to seek after Him and to find Him. In Romans chapter 1, as the sinfulness of man is described, and we're shown that God is just and right in condemning all of mankind, we again get a glimpse of God's desire for His creation. Paul says men could perceive God's eternal power and deity by observing the product of His creation, and are without excuse because although they knew God, they did not glorify Him as God, nor were they thankful. Well, the flip side of these negatives is God wants us to glorify and give thanks to Him. He wants a people who worship their Creator and recognize their dependence upon Him. In Genesis 1 and verse 26, God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." Now certainly, this is not a reference to man's physical appearance. So many times we hear people try to make the argument that God looks like man because we were created in the image of God. No, this is not talking about the physical appearance of man. No, God is a spirit. John 4 and verse 24 tells us this. God is without form. Deuteronomy 4 verses 12 through 19. And so whenever we see this description in the image of God, it must refer to man's spiritual nature, man's intellect, and man's free moral agency. Having a self-conscious personality that sets us apart from animal life. Now, we are bold to suggest that since God is love, and certainly 1 John 4 verses 7 and 8 attest to this, but we are bold to suggest that since God is love, we who are made in His image have the ethical capacity to manifest this godlike characteristic. We believe that God intended that the objects of His love be capable of returning love to their Creator. A love that manifests itself in submission to God. Ultimately, we love God because He first loved us. We pattern the love that we have for God and the love that we have for our fellow man after the love that we have received from God. 1 John 2 verses 3 through 5 give us a great lesson on this subject. Jesus said that the first and greatest command of God is, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind." Matthew 22 verses 36 through 40. Friends, God wanted His creation to seek after Him and to find Him, to look up to Him and to feel a deep dependence upon Him, to receive His love and to reciprocate that love back to Him. Friends, this is the purpose of God as directed toward the people of God. Friends, we thank you for joining us for our program today. And may God bless you with a wonderful day.